My name is Brian Finney. I'm the founder and CEO of Democracy Live. Democracy Live is the leading provider for electronic balloting and voter information in this country. The right to vote has always been a critical part of our country. And ironically, voters who are overseas and in the military especially have always had a very difficult time in accessing that right to be able to vote. The idea that if you are a GI out in the front lines of Kandahar, in theory fighting for our right to vote, they're the ones that have historically been, and ironically, been disenfranchised from voting. So Democracy Live has created the leading voting platform for 200 million voters in this country for them to be able to access their ballot through the Microsoft Cloud for Government. The Microsoft Cloud for Government is the only cloud environment that has been approved by the Homeland Security, by the U.S. Department of Defense, and now for the first time, voters around the world can now access their ballot, be able to mark their ballot, and then submit it securely back to the states for tabulation. One of the great honors of being in this marketplace is to be able to know that at the end of the day, you can walk through the door and you can think that you actually helped expand the right to be able to vote for voters around this country and around this world. So we received this letter from a sergeant in Iraq. I believe he was stationed in the Green Zone at the time. And what he wrote to his county was that, "Thank you for introducing this technology to us." He'd been in the military for nearly 20 years, and from what he said in the letter, this was the very first time that he was able to get his vote, to be able to access his ballot, to ensure that not just was he able to access his ballot, but it got back to his county in time to be counted. He said in the letter that he'd been out there fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan for our ability here in the United States to be able to have a democracy, to be able to vote, and yet now for the first time, he also is able to participate in that democratic process. The other key initiative that we have with Democracy Live is Live Ballot, the very first technology of its kind to be able to truly make the ballot come alive, to provide voters with disabilities, of which there are about 25 million voters who are visually impaired or unable to access their ballot. So we provide tools through the cloud and also through devices like the Windows 10 tablet for voters to be able to come to the polling place on Election Day. They can put on a set of headphones, they can use other assistive technologies to be able to come and independently mark their ballot, be able to independently vote their selections. In fact, we're just in the state of Ohio last week, and they are looking to expand the ability for voters to be able to access their ballot by using these little Windows 10 tablets. Sometimes they're 3 or 4 pounds, and the elections and the poll workers can now go to the voter. Voters who are shut in, voters who have disabilities, voters that are in the nursing homes. And because of the lightweight nature of the Windows 10 tablet, because of the security that's built into Windows 10, the voter can now not be expected and be forced to somehow try to find out how to get down to the polls, especially if you are blind or disabled. The ballot can now come to them. We've been selected by the U.S. Department of Defense and by dozens of states in this country to provide these tools, in large part because of the security and the stability and the scalability of the Microsoft Cloud for Government. They know that when the ballot is delivered, that the ballot by federal law must be made available to their voters. Many of our customers are elected officials. So what we need to do is ensure that the ballot by a voter around the world or on Election Day here domestically, that ballot will be securely delivered. And by our partnership with Microsoft, that's provided a real competitive advantage to us and we believe to the counties that have the security and the knowledge that working in partnership with both Democracy Live and Microsoft, that cloud will be made available accurately and securely. Democracy Live's tagline is "Your ballot anytime, anywhere." We see a convergence between the cloud and the tablet, being able to access your ballot from home, being able to access the ballot from overseas, being able to access your ballot from an off-the-shelf lightweight tablet in the polling location. Truly, the ability to be able to access your ballot 360 in a place where maybe it's in your pocket on your smart device, maybe it's going to be off of a web portal. The idea of being able to get your ballot anytime, anywhere is the next generation of voting in this country. The next generation of voters are going to come to demand that. The Twitter generation, the Facebook generation, they expect to receive their ballot on demand, on their time, not have to go and fill out a paper ballot at a remote voting location. So what will be happening in the years to come is the ability to be able to access your ballot from your smart device, from an off-the-shelf tablet, from the cloud, on demand, on your time. Powered by Democracy Live and in partnership with Microsoft.